Hey everybody, it's Joel. I am doing a funny thing today. I'm going to be I'm going to be reviewing all mana rocks. Everything. Alphabetical order, mana rocks. I like artifacts, so. Mana rocks. Abzan banner, taps for one of 3 colors. It's in green though, so you got like mana fixing, like proper mana fixing. And you pay 3 and second and draw a card. So it's kind of a worse Commander Sphere. We'll get to that when we get to it, but not off to a good start so far. What do we got next? Agility Bobblehead. Oh, I've got Universes Beyond to contend with now, don't I? It's a Manalith, taps to add mana of any color. And you can pay 3, tap it. You can give something haste, or it's the number of Bobbleheads you control. Huh. So if it's just this, you pay 3, tap it, and give something haste and unblockable. Actually, I think the right deck would like that. It's 3 mana though, so it's like not the best rate for that sort of thing. I can think of worse cards, so it's not off to a terrible start. Plus you got more bobbleheads, you can do it with 2 creatures. Like as soon as you do it with 2 creatures, this is like really good. 1's okay. I think in the right deck, like 1 creature, you could get away with this. Alright, what do we got next? Altar of Shadows. It costs 7. 7. You can see my ring light. Oh, you need black. Alright. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you add black for each charge counter on it. Alright. It needs charge counters to do anything. How does it do charge counters? You can pay 7 and tap it to destroy target creature. And then you put a charge counter on it. So let me get this straight. You're gonna pay 14 mana, 1/4, to get 1 black mana on your pre-combat main phase the turn after. You get to destroy a creature and you get 1 mana for 4. It's a rare too. It's from Mirrodin. Of course, it's from Mirrodin. If you proliferate, you have to proliferate the counters. If you're doing this, but you need a way to get counters on it without using it, because then like it actually makes more sense. Even if you do have another, like, even if you don't activate this and you put a counter on it another way, like you pay 7 and cast this or cheat it into play with something, you have to have another way to get counters on it, assuming you don't want to do this, which no one's going to want to do that. And then you get like a black mana for each counter on it. You might as well run like an Everflowing Chalice or a Astral Cornucopia. I'm sure we'll get to those. We will get to those. Altar of the Lost. Alright. And then just tap. That's not off to a good start. But it adds 2 mana in any combination of colors. But you can only spend the mana to cast spells with flashback from a graveyard. So it's a Worn Power Stone, except it can do colored mana, but you can only cast flashed back spells. Yeah, it's not good. Even in like a flashback deck, you probably don't want this. You probably would just rather have any mana rock that you could tap for like any of your spells. If you were doing like only cast stuff out of the graveyard. Yeah, but there are other cards you can cast out of the graveyard that aren't flashback. This is only flashback. So, yeah, maybe in some decks, like maybe on a rare case, you might want this, but yeah, that's a yikes. It's 3. If it was 2, it would be like, good. Here we go, I've seen this one. Altar of the Pantheon, 3 mana. Your devotion to each color and each combination of colors is increased by 1. So, after an interesting start, and it taps to add 1 mana of any color. So it's Manalith, but if you control a god, a demigod, or a legendary enchantment, you gain 1 life. Hooray. It's not good. It's Manalith with a tiny bit of upside, so we'll talk about it. This is a pretty new card, the Astral Cornucopia. I like this card. I love the artwork on this card. I love the frame. Big Score had some good looking cards, that's all I'll say. This one is, I've tried to make it work. It's pretty cool. It's not a good card, unfortunately. It's a mythic too. I don't know how they decide rarities on these things, but it's a mythic. Someone made this into a mythic. Someone's getting fired. Anyway, it's a Manalith. It taps for mana of any color. But it costs green mana to cast. If you're in a green deck, you have perfect fixing anyway. What is it? What is this? What else does this thing do? Whenever you cast a spell, and that's one or more colors, you gain 1 life. You gain 1 life for each of the colors. Only once each turn. I think for this to be even like remotely cool, like the life gain should be like the whole turn. Like every spell you cast, like you gain some life for each of its colors. I think that would actually be really cool because it's green. You would have it in like green life gain decks. Life gain, as I think of it, like a lot of life gain decks are like Orzhov. You have the Golgari ones like Dina and stuff, but all right. Aha, we get to a fan favorite now. Arcane Signet. Everyone knows what this does. 2 mana. It enters untapped and it taps for a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Just can't go wrong. It's a good card. It enters untapped. It taps for all the colors you want. Oh, except in colorless. I have seen some WoD do that before. It's fine. He was new. He had the Zul'Dok precon. He's like, oh yeah, I'll put an Arcane Signet in there. Anyway, this is a gold standard mana rock. This is like, you play it on turn 2, then you get to cast your 4-drop commander on turn 3. It's perfect. Like, it's a really strong card. It sees play in like a shit ton of decks. Like, it's crazy. You wouldn't even, you'd be hard pressed to like not play this card in a lot of decks. I don't really like play it in green decks myself because you have like Nature's Law 3 visits and Triomes and stuff, but if your deck wants mana rocks, you play this card. Like, always. It's really good. It's a good card. I don't have to tell you guys it's a good card. Alright, Ashnod's Altar is coming up. Technically a mana rock if you think about it, because it is a mana ability. It's a 3 mana artifact, and you sacrifice a creature to add colorless. Yeah, so this one also doesn't really need too much explanation. It's a combo piece with a lot of combos, actually, like stuff with like Nim Deathmantle and like Weaponcraft Enthusiast, and so any creature that makes 2 tokens when it enters the battlefield. You can sack both the tokens and like sack the thing and get the Nim Deathmantle. Like, it's combos. Otherwise, it's actually a really good like just mana source. The problem with this card though is that if you play it, you open yourself up to like people trying to kill you. But like could you imagine playing this in just like a token deck? You just play it and you just add like a lot of mana. You know all those token decks that use like those X spells? You could like play an X spell, make like 10 tokens, and then like sack all the tokens to like add like 20 mana. So you've just doubled your mana effectively. It's good. I actually don't think people play it as much as they should play in token decks where you don't care about, or I mean most of the time people play this when they like want to sacrifice creatures, like they're playing aristocrats or they're playing it for combos and stuff. But I think just playing it fairly, the thing is people don't, like I said, people don't sort of see it fairly. They don't want to play it fairly. I don't know. I think people should play it more like not in combos, even if it gets you killed. I don't know. Here we are. Astral Cornucopia. I talked about this one earlier. It costs XXX. So for each 3 mana you put into this, it enters with a charge counter. And it you choose a color when you tap it, and it adds a mana of the chosen color for each of the charge counters. So it's a Manalith that you can proliferate the counters on. You can pay 6 into this and have 2 charge counters. I don't know, maybe like way late in the game, but yeah, 100% you play this in a deck where you proliferate the counters. If you don't, then you don't. Also, it looks cool, so. Okay. What is this? Ataka Monument, 3 mana artifact. It's from Khans. No, it's scratch that, it's from Dragons. It taps for red or green only. What else does it do? You can pay 4 and red and green, and it becomes a 4/4 red and green dragon with flying until ends a turn only. Maybe this is good and limited. This is just like a Manalith that you can make into a guy. It's like a manland, but it's like a mana rock. It's not that good. Even in Gruul decks. Gruul decks don't want this. You're in green. Why are you playing this? You've got big creatures anyway, and you've got ramp. You don't need this. Here we go, Cluestone. Azorius Cluestone. It taps for white or blue. It's for 3 mana though, so it's a Manalith. And you can pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice it and draw a card. So it's again, it's a worse Commander Sphere. How good's Commander Sphere? I guess we'll get to it. Okay, now we got some more Azorius goodies. We got Azorius Keyrune and Azorius Locket. They both cost 3. They both tap for white or blue, as you would expect Azorius. Azorius Keyrune, you can pay 2 mana and make into a creature. It's got flying. Do you want to attack with it? I don't know. Maybe. But you might play creatures to attack with instead of this. Yeah, and Locket, you can pay 4 and sacrifice it and draw 2 cards. Okay, so, you know, slightly different than a Commander Sphere. It's like a Hedron Archive, kind of. Except it costs 3 and taps for color, so... you might play it. If someone played this card, I would be like, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. You can play that. You probably knew. You probably don't know how this works. Oh, here we go. Azorius Signet now. A Signet. 2 mana. You pay 1 into it and it taps for 2 colors. It's good. It's a 2 mana rock. It enters untapped. It produces colors. I play these in 2 color decks. I play these in 3 color decks even. Like, yeah, it doesn't tap for all your colors always, but yeah, just having... The thing is, like, the more colors you play, the more of these you get access to, and they are 2 mana rocks that tap for color. There are plenty of 2 mana rocks that are colorless. They tap for colors, like a Mind Stone. Sorry, we'll get to Mind Stone. We'll get to it. These, yeah, they have to tap for color. So this is like an Arcane Signet, except you had to put mana into it. Except Arcane Signet can tap for any color. So it's really not like too big of a bar to clear. It's like kind of the same, but not really. Anyway. Oh, what does this one do? It's a new one. Bandit's Hall. So we're getting into the bees now. 3 mana. It taps for a mana of any color, so it's a manalith. And whenever you commit a crime, so whenever you target like an opponent or something they control, you put a loot counter on it, and you can only do this once each turn. Okay, and then you can pay 2 and tap it and remove 2 loot counters on it to draw 1 card. Alright, so it's a manalith, and if you target things, which costs mana, you can pay more mana and remove the counters to draw 1 card. It's... even in like a deck where you do target stuff a lot, like this might be okay. The problem is you have to tap it to draw the card, so you don't get to produce mana with it that turn. I guess you probably use this like late game maybe. I'm assuming so. Otherwise, like it's a kind of a... I mean, would you rather just play like a Commander Sphere? Because you don't get... I don't know. No, this is an interesting card anyway. Commits crimes. I love the artwork on this too. This is a great card. Great looking card. Oh, okay, here we go. Basalt Monolith. 3 mana. It doesn't untap during your untap step, so... Whoa, doesn't untap. Woo. It taps for 3. Okay, what does this do? Oh, you can pay 3 and untap it? Well, what if it doesn't tap for 3? What if it taps for 4? Oh, you make infinite mana. Yeah, notorious combo card. Like, you can make infinite mana with this thing, like, with a, like, light breeze. A light breeze can make infinite mana with Basalt Monolith. I love this card. This card's cool. I actually think that you could play it, like, just as a, like, a ritual, kind of. Like, you play it on turn 3 or turn 2 or whatever. And you just... you tap it and you play like your, I don't know, 5-drop commander on turn 3. I think that's a cool way to use it. You like turbo out your commander. I don't know. It's also just an artifact that sits on the field. Like if you use it as a ritual and you're playing like an artifact deck, you can get away with like sacrificing it to something. So it's cool. I think it's a good card. As I said, it's kind of in the Ashnod's Altar camp of like, you don't really want to like just play it out because people think you're comboing with it, which, you know, are you? Maybe. Don't take it from me. Play Basalt Monolith responsibly. Oh, okay. What have we got here? Black Mana Battery. Alright, it costs 4. Okay, this is an old card, so actually... I'm gonna have to get used to this. Okay, I have actually never seen this card before. Black Mana Battery. Pay 2 and tap it. Put a charge counter on it. So you pay 4 into it, and then you tap it by paying 2 to get a charge counter. Alright, so for 6 mana, what do we get? You had to tap it again, and you remove any number of charge counters from it, and you add black, and then you add an additional black for each charge counter removed this way. Okay, so it looks like you can just tap it. You can just tap it for black. It looks like you can just tap it. You don't have to pay any charge counters, and it just adds black. And it only adds additional black if you remove charge counters. But this can pay 2 and tap it to add a charge counter. In a deck where you want to proliferate the counters, maybe this is good. I actually don't even mind this, like, late game, maybe. Like, late game, you don't want to add mana, like, but then you, like, get a burst of mana later. I don't know. The problem is, late game, you've got, like, enough mana anyway, so this is just adding extra mana. You want bursts of mana early in the game, ideally. Yeah, it's not that good. If it was, like, 3, it would be pretty cool, but it's 4, so it's hard to justify over, like, a Hedron Archive or something. Here we go. Bloodstone Cameo. It's from Invasion. It's a 3 mana. Oh, it just adds red or black. It's a worse Manalith. We don't even like Manalith where I come from. We shun people who play Manalith where I come from. Alright, moving on. Okay, blue mana battery. Same thing. Same thing as the black one. Still not that good. Okay, here we go. Bonder's Ornament. I've seen this one before too. It's a Manalith. It adds mana of any color. And you can pay 4 mana and tap it. And then each player who controls a permanent named Bonder's Ornament draws a card. I don't know, on the off chance that you're playing like Two-Headed Giant and you want to be in teams or something. I guess it's kind of like a magnifying glass a little bit. You can draw cards with it. I actually don't think this is that bad, really. I reckon you could get away with this. It's 4 mana, but like... it's repeatable draw like later in a game. Like you could get away with this. I reckon you could do it. I reckon it's doable. All right. This card's alright. This card's like not too bad. If someone played this, I'd be like, oh, it's a metal. Oh, you're drawing cards with it. Okay. I see what's happening. Yeah. All right. I gotcha. Oh, here we go. More clue stones. Taps for colorless. Doesn't tap for colorless. Taps for red or white. Boros clue stone. And then you pay 2 and tap in sacrifice and draw a card. So yeah, worst Manalith, worst Commander Sphere. Yeah. Boros Keyrune, taps for red or white. You can make it into a guy. It's got double strike. If for some reason you want like combat damage triggers on creatures, like this might be alright, but you're in Boros. I mean, you might be able to make that work. Double strike. Just having a guy with double strike is just good sometimes, especially if you like put equipments on it and stuff. This is only until end of turn, so I don't know. And Boros Locket, same one as the Azorius Locket. You draw 2 cards. By paying 4 into it. Taps for the right colors. I don't know. Oh yeah, Boros Signet. Yeah, now we get the Signet. Cool. Can't go wrong. Like I said, really good. 2 mana rock. Gets you 4 drop on turn 3. Like it's good. It produces the colors like in your deck. You paid in 2 color, you paid in 3 color. I don't know. It's good. Oh, here we go. Another new one. Bounty Board. I have seen this card around a little bit, but I actually don't really... I don't know. I never like properly read it. Alright, let's read it. It's a Manalith that adds 1 mana of any color. Alright, cool. For 3. It's fine. Let's see. You can pay 1 and tap it and put a bounty counter on target creature only as a sorcery. Okay. What does that do? Whenever a creature with a bounty counter on it dies, each of its controller's opponents draws a card and gain 2 life. Okay, this is like any bounty counter though. So you've got like other cards that put bounty counters on stuff, like Cheville, I think, is the commander that does it. But this like draws cards for all of your opponents as well, except the guy that you didn't want to draw a card. I don't know. Like unless you want your opponents to be drawing cards, like if you're playing Xyrus or something and you want to give everyone snake tokens. I don't know. I've seen people play this card. This card's probably fine, but yeah, I don't know. Carnelian Orb of Dragonkind. It costs red. It adds red, but you can only spend it on a dragon creature spell. But it gains haste until end of turn. So it's not really a mana rock because you have to use it on specifically dragon creatures. It's like that one that you can only use on flashback spells. It's so specific where you can actually spend the mana that I don't think you would want to run this. It gives haste, but there are like way better ways of giving haste, like a lot better ways. Like you could probably have a commander that would give haste, and it's only for dragon spells. even in a dragon deck, like, it maybe. If this costs 2, this would be like pretty good. If it costs 3 and added 2, maybe of different colors, you could like do it like to 2 spells maybe. It would be cool. But this is like one dragon you can give haste. Yeah, it's alright. It's probably fine. There's better things you could be doing. Ah, next card. Charcoal Diamond. Oh, cool. Enters tapped, adds a black for 2. So yeah, color mana that adds color. It doesn't really matter that it enters tapped. Like, are you gonna pay this on turn 2 and then cast a 1-drop? Like, yeah, maybe sometimes. That might suck sometimes. But if you had a 1-drop, you might have played it on turn 1. So I never understood, like, oh, it enters tapped, so you can't play your 1. Yeah, did you draw into a 1-drop that turn or something? I don't know. What are the odds of that? Not very high, probably. I love these. These are good. I play these in like 2-color decks. I don't really play them in 3-color because you got like access to better 2-mana rocks. But yeah, they tap for good. They tap for a color. Doesn't really matter that they enter tapped all that much, and they're 2, so you can't go wrong. Here we go, another bobblehead. Charisma bobblehead. It's a manalith that adds mana of any color. All right, what does this one do? Pay 4, tap it, and you create X 1/1 white soldiers, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. All right, so if this is just this. You pay 4, and you tap it, so you effectively pay 5, and you make 1 guy. How many bobbleheads do you want before this is like good? Okay, it is repeatable. We're going to think about that. If you have 2 bobbleheads, you pay 4 and you tap it, and you make 2 guys. You need to really be valuing these guys, because that's a lot of mana for guys. There like are a lot better ways of making guys, and it's the same thing as whatever I was saying before. If you make the guys, you don't get to, because you tap it, you don't get to add the mana. Okay, what's this one? This is some old card that I don't know what it is. Charmed Pendant. It costs 4. You tap it and mill a card. And for each colored mana symbol in the milled card's mana cost, you add mana of that color. And you can only activate it as an instant. Okay. That's actually like pretty bad. Yeah, it can add a bit of like, okay, so it costs 4, so if it adds 2, you're kind of breaking even on like what the rate for this, because it's a, you know, an Urgolon's Isle or Hedron Archive or something that is 4 and taps for 2. But you have to mill a card and you hit something off the top. Like, yeah, if you mill Progenitors off this, like, you're adding 10 mana for 4. Are you gonna do that though? Are you really gonna do that? Are you? No. What if you mill a land off this? You get nothing. You might even play, like, you could play this in like a deck where you want to mill stuff. Like, I see people play those like little like 1 or 2 mana things that like just tap to mill some cards. Yeah, you could play that for that. It's 4 though. You could play it for 4 and you could mill something. You probably want it in your graveyard, and if you get mana off of it too, yeah, cool, bonus, right? This is actually a really cool card. I actually like this. I don't know if I would play it. You probably want to play it in like decks where you have a lot of like colored cards. The thing is, it's a mana rock. Decks with that want mana rocks, they want more mana rocks. But I could see like people playing this in like a green deck maybe, that they don't actually have a lot of mana rocks, and thus they don't have like a lot of artifacts necessarily, or like they have a lot of colored spells. Because you want to play this in a deck where you don't have a lot of like color spells, just to get the like potential of getting some mana off this. But you mainly, I think, want to play it if you want to mill cards. Maybe. Or you can manipulate the top of your deck. Like, I don't know, are you playing Yannette or something? You want to manipulate the top of your deck? You're playing Aminatou? I don't know. Yeah, cool card. I don't know. It's interesting. Oh god, here we go. Chromatic Lantern. Alright, we're getting to hot water here. This is like one of those cards that has people like divided straight down the middle. Some people like love this card, some people absolutely hate this card. It's a manalith, just let me get this straight. It's a 3 mana thing that taps for 1 mana of any color, so you're a manalith, alright? But it makes lands you control also tap for a mana of any color. Alright. How desperate are you for mana fixing? Your Chromatic Lantern already taps for mana of any color. Unless you're like actually casting ultimatums and stuff, like you do not need this, I think. I'm pretty sure. Okay, if you're in a green deck, 100% you don't need this because you have like basic fixing. But even in like any other deck, you should have like fetches and like surveillance and shocks and triomes. You should have correct fixing in your deck. I'm glad this card's not as expensive as it used to be. This card used to be like $20. This card used to be like really expensive. It's a Manalith with a slight like safety net of like, oh, you get all your colors all the time. Yeah, even in 5-color. I have a 5-color deck. I don't have this card in it. I don't care about it. It's a green deck. I have Nature's Law and 3 visits. I can get triomes every game. I don't even have like real fetch lands. I have like fake fetch lands, like Evolving Wilds. Chromatic Lantern is fine. People can play it and people can enjoy playing it. They can like the safety net, they can play it, they can have fun with it. Just, it's not that good. Just gonna be straight up with you, not that good. It's a Manalith. You're playing a Manalith in your deck just for a safety net. You're like playing a Manalith with training wheels. Alright. Oh, here we go. Here's a fun one. Chromatic Ori. Alright, this thing is cool. This thing is expensive, by the way. This is like $35. Alright. Legendary artifact. It taps for 5. It costs 7 though. What, are you gonna cheat it into play? Maybe. I don't know, that's what I do. Alright, it taps for 5. But you can also spend mana as though it were mana of any color. So yeah, it taps for 5 colors, but it's functionally 5 mana of any color. And it has the same thing as like Chromatic Lantern, where you can like kind of spend mana as, you know, you can kind of get all your colors fixed and stuff. That literally is not even the only thing this thing does though, by the way. If this was like just the mana add and the fixing, it would actually be better than Chromatic Lantern maybe. So yeah, I'm sticking to it. Chromatic Ori, better than Chromatic Lantern, 100%. You know what else it does? You pay 5 mana and you tap it and you draw a card for each color among permanents you control. I don't know how often people use that ability, like logistically. It's the same thing where you have to tap it, so you don't get to add the mana that turn. So it's a really big downside because this taps for 5. So functionally, you're spending 10 mana runes to draw up to 5 cards, and that's good. And I play this in Breya, and yeah, she's like 4 colors. So and she costs 4. Like if she's on the field, like you can tap this thing to draw 4. I don't think I ever do that, but it's better than the draw power we've seen so far. I think it's expensive because it's a big honkin' stinking mana rock that taps for a lot of mana and people can play it in like multicolored decks. It's a cool card. I really love this card. When it came out, I was like, whoa, Chromatic Ori! How cool is that? Oh gosh, here we go. Chrome Mox is a fun one for you guys. Mana positive. It costs 0. Ooh, it's a Moxen. It taps through 1 mana of any of the imprinted cards' colors. Because when it enters the battlefield, you exile a non-artifact, non-land card from your hand. Sorry, yeah, you go down a card, but you're up like mana. So it's kind of like a ritual. Think of it as like literally just like a ritual, like a Simian Spirit Guide or something. You cast it, you exile. It's got to be a non-artifact card. Obviously it's got to be non-land, but non-artifact as well. So if you want to play this in like a non-artifact deck, it's an artifact, and you presumably want to play this in like a really strong deck. And a lot of strong decks already have a lot of like other artifacts. People play this. Like, don't get me wrong, this is a crazy card. I don't even know why I'm spending too much time talking about this. This is a good card. It's a Mox. Yeah, it goes down a card, but goes up mana. That's what people want it for. You don't care about the card. People play Force of Will because they don't care about the card. They just want to stop the thing. It's the same with this. Oh gosh, what is this? Chronotog Totem. Alright, it costs 3 and it taps for blue, so it's already worse than Manalith. What's the upside? You pay 2 and it becomes a 1/2 guy until ends turn. Oh, okay. I just read this bit. You can pay 0 and it gets +3 until ends of turn. Ooh, that's pretty good. It becomes a 4/5 guy for 2 mana. Also, you skip your next turn. This would be funny if you just like played it and you're like, hey guys, I'm gonna go take a piss. I just skip my turn. You know how like people like, oh, you know, I'm just gonna go. If it comes back around to my turn, just like skip me. It's like that. You play this card and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna pull a Chronotog Totem really quick and just go. Alright. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have a Chronotog Totem in the middle of my table, and when someone goes to go take a leak, they just... I'm gonna just skip my turn. It's fine, I got a guy on the field now. Alright. It's from Time Spiral. Of course it's from Time Spiral. Artwork is freaking hilarious on this thing, by the way. Oh, here we go, another classic. Alright, Chronotog Totem. That's funny. Top 10 mana rock, Chronotog Totem. Alright. Alright, we're getting to Coalition Relic now, alright? It's a manalith, it taps for a mana of any color. This is an old school card, like people used to play this all the time when I started playing. You can tap it to put a charge counter on it, but also at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you have to remove all the charge counters and then you add mana for each charge counter. It's any color. So you can kind of think of it as like adding 2 mana every like other turn. It's good. I think it's the first turn it comes down, it's a Worn Power Stone. Like you tap it and you get the charge counter, and then the next turn you have 2 mana. So yeah, think of it like you entered it tapped. And it's 2 mana of different colors potentially as well. Like it's really good. It's good fixing. I play this in my 5-color deck, I think. I think it's in there somewhere. Yeah, it's a good card. I still think, and if you proliferate the counters, I think, yeah, if you proliferate the counters, you get more mana. So, you know, even in those decks, like, you know, there are maybe better options, but because you have to remove all the counters, you don't just like remove one of them, you do remove all of them. So you have to tap it every turn to get a charge counter, so you might not get the mana. Yeah, I think it's good. It's a good card. It's good fixing, like it's a manalith, but like, but the thing like is you get multiple mana on the one turn. Like that's the difference between it and a Chromatic Lantern. Chromatic Lantern, you just get the fixing. This you get the fixing, and you also get the upside of having like, you know, if you play this on turn 3, you have however much it is on the next turn instead of just 1. Alright, we're back into 2 mana territory. We got Cold Steel Heart. It doesn't attack. It's a snow artifact. I didn't even notice that they made it into a snow. I mean, it probably always was, but the frame kind of gives it away now. Yeah, so snow artifact enters tapped, but when it enters, you have to choose a color, and you tap it to add mana of the chosen color. So it's a diamond. It's a diamond, right? Like it's a sky diamond or a charcoal diamond or whatever. But you get to choose the color, so it's a little bit of extra fixing. So it's kind of a strictly better diamond. I think this is a good card. I would play it. I don't have a copy, I don't think, but yeah, it's good. Plus, if you want snow mana for something, yeah, there you go. It's a snow artifact. Like you don't have to run snowlands. In fact, I have a deck that I probably could play this in, because I have a deck that I do care about mana rocks. I have mana rocks. It's my Planeswalker deck, my Tevesh and Dargo deck. I care about mana rocks because sometimes I sacrifice them for just, you know how it works. But I have like snowlands in the deck because I have like Blood on the Snow, and yeah, so I could play Cold Steel Heart in that deck. I'm pretty sure I could. Like, in fact, like I don't know why I didn't think of it, because I didn't know it was a snow artifact because they didn't have the frame. That's why. Okay. We're getting to the quintessential, like, gold standard for a manalith, a Commander Sphere. It's a manalith, it taps for 1, and it costs 3. But you can, at any time, sacrifice it to draw a card. This is a acceptable card still. I think people have, like, really shied away from this because they don't like 3 mana rocks. 3 mana rocks are good. 3 mana, like, I'm just going to get that out there. Like, a 3 mana rock with the proper upside is a good card. This card, you don't like immediately die when you lose this card. If you lose like a, I don't know, like a Cursed Mirror or something, I think we're about to get to Cursed Mirror. That's a good card. This thing you can sacrifice at any time to draw a card, and you can tap it for mana as well. You could tap this for mana and then sacrifice it, because you don't have to tap it to sacrifice to draw a card. So if you use it on your turn and someone Vandal Blasts, you get a card back out of it. It's good. It's a good card still. I'm pretty sure I played in Farid. And I played in Jensen as well. I think I played in 2 decks. I played in Farid because you sacrifice it to like draw a card and you get a scrap token as well. So, and in Jensen it's just another rock, even though I have fixing. I played in Jensen because I have a full art foil one. That's why. Oh, here we go. Here's some funny silly card for you. Component Pouch. Oh gosh. You can tap it to roll a D20. If you get a 1 to 9, you put 1 component counter on it. If you roll a 10 to 20, you get 2 component counters. And then you can tap it to remove a component counter and add 2 mana of different colors. Okay. I actually think this card's pretty good. I actually didn't ever... This is one of those cards you sort of like idly like scroll by, and you don't really like ever read it. And you're like, oh, it rolls dice. Like, is it that good? Yeah, this is pretty good. It's like a 1 Power Stone. So yeah, on the turn you play, it's a 3 mana, right? So the turn you play this, you tap it, you get 1 or 2 counters on it, and the next turn you can remove a counter and add 2 mana. So for that first turn, it's guaranteed to be a 1 Power Stone, with the upside of you get colored mana. But the downside is it's only every other turn unless you're like lucky. So yeah, you have to skip a turn every few turns. That's actually not a very good thing. Yeah, that's a pretty big downside. Is the upside of having colored mana really... Okay, the other thing is it rolls dice. So like if you're playing a deck that you care about dice for some reason, this is an acceptable card in a deck where you want to roll dice, and I'm pretty sure that's where people play it. I don't think I'd play it anywhere else. But like I said, like you should have like other fixing in your mana base, like in your lands. The mana rocks like should not be the main source of fixing in your deck. They should provide utility, and they should provide like actual mana, like mana. Yeah, fixing is of course like good. Like for a mana rock, like if you have a mana rock with really good fixing, like yeah, it's good, but you shouldn't like rely on your mana rocks for fixing. Like if you're playing all basics and mana rocks, first of all, really cool, by the way. Like if you have matching basics, like yeah, you're a cool guy, but like you're crazy. You are so crazy. Yeah. Oh, here we go. It's another new one. Conversion Apparatus. God, I love the artwork on this card. What on earth? Alright, what does this do? It's 3. It taps for colorless, so it's a worse manalith. Cool, we're off to a good start. What does it do? You can pay 3 and tap it to get 3 energy. So you pay 4 functionally to get 3 energy. That's really bad. What else does it do? You can tap it and pay 3 energy to add 3 mana in any combination of colors. Ooh, okay. You are not tapping 3 and tapping this and getting 3 energy, and then next turn tapping the energy you made to make 3 mana. Not happening. That's ridiculous. You are so stupid if that's how you want to use this card. You are playing this in a deck where you have energy via external means, and you just use this as a energy payoff. It's a really good energy payoff. Like if you have a lot of energy to use this every turn, which you might do in like a really good energy deck, this is a really strong rock. This is a 3 mana, you get 3 every turn. This is like a half price Hedron Archive that adds colored mana. This is and if you don't want to spend energy for whatever reason, you can tap it for colorless as well. That's good. Like it's got that flexibility. Like it's a properly balanced card. I actually think this is a really good card. Modern Horizons 3 did wonders. Alright, Corrupted Graphstone. Okay, we got some Innistrad stuff now. It costs 2 and it enters tapped. Alright, what does it do? You tap it and you choose a color of a card in your graveyard and you add mana of that color. Huh. I'm actually surprised people don't play this more. Like, yeah, you probably won't be able to use it on turn 2, which is when you want to use the 2 mana rock. So yeah, it's probably pretty bad, like in that case. But like, I don't know. Yeah, it's bad. I don't think people play it for a reason. I don't think it's good. Like, yeah, and you have to have a card with a color, and you can't be like you crack a fetch or whatever, and you have a card in your nah. It's got to be you have to have a card with a color in your graveyard. So yeah, if this had any other upside, maybe, but since it's kind of just like a diamond, you might as well run a diamond or an arcane signet, right? All right, going on. We've got. Oh man, this video is going to be so long. That's fine. We're just talking about mana rocks. We're just shooting the shit. We're just hanging out. Alright, Coveted Jewel. This is a card for hanging out too. Like if people play this, you know you're in with the homies. Someone's playing Coveted Jewel. You're either playing against a guy who's really, really funny or who's really, really annoying or mean. One of the two. Coveted Jewel. It's a 6 mana rock and it taps for 3 mana of any one color. So it's a Gilded Lotus for 1 extra mana. What else does it do? When it enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards. That's pretty good. Give me the cards. oh, you think it's that simple? What else does this do? If you guys haven't played against this card before, this card is crazy fun. This card is like, it's a coveted jewel. You know why it's a coveted jewel? When one or more creatures an opponent controls attack you and aren't blocked, you give them the coveted jewel, and then they draw 3 cards. So you have to like defend this thing with your life to prevent them getting cards. You know how people play this? People play this in like decks where they sacrifice it. How fun is that? Not very fun. I mean, it's fun for the guy casting it. You play this thing and you draw 3 cards and you add 3 mana with it and then you sacrifice it and you're like, haha, you guys don't get cards. It's like a little mini game. Like people play it in like group hug and stuff. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of friends that play this card, really. But I have played against it a few times, and it is a riot. It's one of those cards that when they come down, they do warp the game around them. Like, you know that the game is about that card now, but it is in a fun way. Instead of like, we need to, you know, kill that Smothering Tithe or something. Alright, getting on to another one. We've got Crowded Crypt. This one costs black. It's 3 mana, and it taps for a black. So that's a manalith, but it only taps for black. What else does it do? When a creature you control dies, you put a corpse counter on it. So that's including tokens, non-tokens, everybody. What else do you do with this? You pay 4 and black. So 6 mana and tapping this. So it's like functionally 7. And you have to sacrifice it. So you crack it. So you pay 6 and tap it and sacrifice it. And you make a 2/2 black zombie with Decayed for each corpse counter on it. Okay. So like stockpiles like things dying, and then you get to crack this late game and make a crap ton of decayed zombies. The fact that they're decayed zombies is interesting because I didn't really like get the decayed thing. It just kind of leads to combos. I don't know. The Wilhut guides have scarred me, eh? Wilhut is funny. Wilhut is the funny zombie combo guy. You can't convince me that anyone playing Wilhut is playing zombies fairly. They're not. They're playing it for silly, funny combo things. Or they're playing, like, Acererak Rooftop Storm. Don't worry, I play Infinite Acererak as well. It's fine. It's funny. Oh, here we go. Here's another card that I love. This card is cool. I actually do like this card, and I always, like, I have a copy, and I always wanted to play it. And it's like, every time I look at it, and, like, it's in my maybe board, I'm just like... Oh. Alright, Cryptex. I love this card, by the way. I think I mentioned that. It's a good card. No, it's not. It's freaking terrible. Alright, what does it do? Maybe if I read it again, I'll like have an epiphany and like something will happen. Alright, it's a 2 mana thing. That's why it like looks okay, I'll just shut up. Alright, 2 mana. You tap it and you collect evidence 3. So that means you have to exile cards out of your graveyard with a total mana value of 3 or more. Okay, that is kind of already steep because you have to have stuff in your graveyard. So it's the same thing as that other one, whatever it was, Graphstone, that you had to have stuff in your graveyard and you might not be able to use this on turn 2 for that reason, even though it's a 2-drop. So yeah. Anyway, when you do that, you tap it, collect evidence 3, and you add mana of any color. And you put an unlock counter on it. Interesting. So you're trying to solve this little puzzle thing. Cool, what do you do with that? You sacrifice it at any time. It's like a commander's phase. You can tap it and you sacrifice it on the same turn. That's cool. That's good. Good design. You surveil 3. That's pretty cool. So I'm assuming you want to play this in like a graveyard deck because you want to like collect evidence with it. Maybe you're playing Tormod or something and you care about stuff leaving your graveyard. I don't know. You guys tell me where to play this. I love this card. Anyway, sacrifice it. Surveil 3. And you draw 3 cards, but only if it's got 5 or more unlock counters on it. Okay, technically, it does cost 2 mana and it draws 3 cards. You don't have to pay any mana to collect evidence. It just takes time and crap in your graveyard. You just have to have stuff in your bin. If you're just playing the game normally, you might actually be able to do this. Like, it might happen. Like, late game, you might be able to, like, over a few turns, like, get this, and you might have a surge of cards, and it's 3 cards. If this was, like, 5 cards, maybe, it would be really cool. It would be, like, really strong. You can proliferate the counters as well. That's something that I forgot to mention. I don't know if you should. I mean, you could. You could play it in one of those proliferate decks, I guess. Because the decks, the thing with graveyard decks is that you want stuff in the graveyard to do other things with. Maybe not necessarily this. So if you, yeah, if you're like exiling stuff to this, like you won't have it for other things, right? Again, maybe you're playing Tormod and you care about stuff leaving the graveyard in any way. Or what's that guy from Warhammer? Anyway, that guy. Cryptolith Fragment. It's a 3-mana guy artifact that enters tapped. So we're off to a great start. It adds mana of any color, but each player loses 1 life. So it's a manalith that stings everyone. Okay, that's pretty freaking bad. Okay, it does other stuff. What else does it do? At the beginning of your upkeep, if each player has 10 or less life, you have to transform it. Each player has to have 10 or less life? That actually, like, is basically unheard of. Like maybe, like, in some rare scenarios, like super late game, that happens, but, like, it really doesn't. Usually some guy who's winning has, like, at least 20 life, and, like, the others have, like, 5 life. And, like, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get to, like, 20 life, I'm like, oh, man, I'm, like, nearly dead. Alright, let's see what just magical garbage this thing transforms into. What does this do? It transforms into, so this is on your upkeep. It transforms into Aura of Emrakul. It's a 1/4 flying death toucher, and then when it attacks, each opponent loses 3 life. That is pretty scary, actually. If every player is on 10 or less life, this thing can clean people up, like, a lot. So, and it's a flying death toucher, so they are not going to want to block this. I think it's pretty good. I think it's, no, this card freaking sucks. It's a mana rock. You're playing it as a mana rock. The upside of you, like, you get this guy, like, late game, it's not worth it. Not even a little bit. You got to have 10 or less life. Not only do you have to have 10 or less life, everybody does. How is that ever going to happen unless you, like, want it to happen? If you're going to, like, Worldfire and then combo into this, like, you get a gold medal. Someone do that. Someone actually Worldfire and then, like, play this somehow and just, like, win with it. I actually would love, like, play this Cryptolith Fragment, cast a Banishing Light on it, and cast a Worldfire, and then when the Banishing Light leaves, you get the thing back. I think that's how it works. And then, like, on your upkeep, you have to go around to your next turn, and then you're on your upkeep, you got this guy, and you just attack with it, and you win. Cool combo, bro. Cool story. I want someone to do this to me. I want to lose to this, and, like, really feel bad about it. Alright. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Here's a new card, too. Crystal Skull Isu Spyglass. This is from Assassin's Creed. Yeah. It's a legendary artifact. It costs 2 blue. So it's 4. What does it do? It taps for blue. Okay, so it's bad. It taps for 1. What else does it do? You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can play historic lands and cast historic spells from the top of your library. So it's kind of like a hybrid card draw, kind of, like, maybe like a... Okay, we can all agree it's a bad mana rock. It is. It's bad. It's bad. It's terrible. It taps for 1 and it's 4. And it costs double blue. But you're not playing it for that. You're playing it for the cast historic stuff off the top of your library. Or play historic lands. Yeah. So you can play artifact lands. Or legendary lands. Or saga lands. You can play Urza Saga. No, I'm sold. You can play Urza Saga off the top of your library with this card. Oh yeah, I want that so bad. Give that to me now. Take all my money. That's all you have to do to sell me is just make it work with Urza Saga and I'll love it forever. Alright, this card's fine. I think in historic decks you could get away with it. It's an artifact. Like if you're playing Jora or something. Yeah, sure. It's fine. Oh, here we go. Cultivator's Caravan. It's a manalith. So it's a 3-mana rock that taps for mana of any color. But it's a vehicle. It's a 5/5 that crews for 3. This is actually a pretty good card. Like I played this in like a couple decks where it was just having a 5/5 guy sometimes is kind of good. I played this in Greasefang and Yeah, that's a vehicle deck, so this is like extra good. But like, you just, like, yeah, to attack with it, you don't have to spend the mana. But it's just a kind of a guy. Yeah, I said that about the other ones, but this one you don't have to like pay mana really to like get the guy. Yeah, you don't get to, maybe for blocking. Let's say you like don't use this for mana like on your turn. You can keep this up as a blocker. That's one thing that I like about vehicles, is that you can use them as blockers like that. This is a 5/5. It's 3 mana, like, but yeah, you had to spend 3 power to like tap it or whatever, but it's a good card. I don't think you would play this in any other deck where you didn't want like a guy, or you didn't want a vehicle specifically. Yeah. Here we go. Here's one that I mentioned earlier. Cursed Mirror. Love this card. This card's so sick. It's 3 mana rock. It taps for a 1, so it's a manalith, but it's worse because it costs color to cast it, and it only taps for red. But when it enters the battlefield, you can just have it become a copy of any creature on the entire battlefield for the turn, and it gains haste. I've used this to copy my own creatures. I've used this to copy my opponent's creatures. You get ETBs because it's like an as it enters the battlefield sort of ability. Yeah, really good. I have this in Farid because I have the old border one. Pretty swazzy. I use it to, I think last time I played it, I had a second Metalwork Colossus. Yeah, hell yeah, with haste. Here's the 10/10 with haste for 3 mana. Yeah, this is really good. And as the game gets better, these clone effects are going to start getting way better. Like, seriously. Like, again, they're going to keep printing better and better creatures, better and better commanders, better and better ETBs on creatures, better value on creatures. You can get tap abilities with this because it's got haste. Yeah, this card is going to start getting way better over time. Like, just not even this, but like all clone effects, they're going to get way better, like in the long run, because again, we're going to keep getting power creep. It's going to keep happening. But for the meantime, this card is pretty good. You don't get the mana rock the turn you play it if you want to copy something with it. But after that, it's just a mana rock. Yeah, it's not a super good mana rock, but you've got the value from the mana you spent to cast it. Ideally from the thing you copied. That's presumably what you're going to get your value on instead of it being a mana rock. You can use it as a mana rock. It's not a very good mana rock if you want to use it like that. You really want to use it for the copy, right? It's a good card. It's a really good card. It's probably the best one we talked about so far, except for like Arcane Signet. Oh gosh, here we go. Manalith with upside. Darksteel Ingot. Okay, this card... this card used to be a lot more popular, like, to be quite clear. I actually think that artifact hate has died down a little bit. Like, people started taking Vandal Blast out of their decks. People stopped playing, like, Cleansing Nova. People stopped playing, like... Okay, maybe people didn't stop playing Austere Command, but how often do you see people nuke all artifacts with Austere Command? They usually just nuke all creatures, and then they think that they have a really good card when they paid 6 for Wrath of God. Like, you know, cool. Good on you, buddy. It's got Indestructible. The thing with this, though, the problem with this is that a lot of sweepers get around Indestructible these days, like a Farewell. If you're going to exile all artifacts, there's a few ways to do it. People used to play Merciless Eviction to get rid of, like, Darksteel Forges and things. This being Indestructible is not that good. It is good. Like, don't get me wrong. Having it be Indestructible, like, it's never going to die... In theory, yeah, sure. It's a manalith. Like, do you want to protect your manalith that bad? Just play a better rock and get better value out of it before it dies. Yeah. Anyway, if people play this card, it's fine. You can get away with it. It's not really my thing, though. I don't really like this card. Alright, what else have we got? But, man, Decanter of Endless Water, hey. It's a manalith, but you also have no maximum hand size. This... I can't believe this card is like $3. This is a common... He's a common, and he's $3. I don't know. In decks where you really, 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 really want that no maximum hand size ability, yeah, sure. Everyone else, no, don't play this. It's bad. It's a manalith. Are you going to play manalith in your deck? No. How often do you care? The thing I don't get as well is that, oh, you know, I've got 9 cards in my hand. I have to discard 2. Ooh. Yeah, but what, are you just going to discard 2 lands? You've still got another, like, 2 lands in your hand? You're not going to, unless you're playing, like, one of those decks that, like Azusa, that you can play, like, multiple lands, you are going to struggle to play all those lands. So, functionally, you just have the same amount of cards in your hand. the only time that you really want no maximum hand size is when you're playing cards like Psychosis Crawler, I guess, that you actually care about the amount of cards in your hand. Otherwise, if you're just keeping them just to have all your cards, like, no, it's not worth it. Not even a little bit, not for this. Maybe Thought Vessel is more worth it because it's like 2 mana at least. No. I would rather play Chromatic Orrery. Chromatic Lantern. That's the one. Chromatic Lantern. I would rather play Chromatic Lantern over this. You get training wheels. This is like training wheels, but like a different sort of training wheels. This is training wheels for people that don't know how to like properly pick which cards they actually want in their hand at the end of the turn. No. I'm going to be here for absolute ever. I forgot how many mana rocks there were in this game. We've only gone to like the start of D. But what I'll do is I'll leave it off there. And, you know, I'll pick this up another time, I'm sure. Decanter of Endless Water is a good one to end on. Just a good sort of thing. This has been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying this. You guys, tell me what you think about mana rocks. I like mana rocks. I'm an artifact guy. Shroom. Shroom is my... Redacted. No worries. Alright, I don't have a signing off like motto thing. What do people say when I sign off? Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm not a real YouTuber yet, so I don't have to do that. Anyways, ta-ta you guys. See you later.